Everybody knows Harry Potter. It's a great book series. It's an amazing movie series. There are super fans all over the world, and the movies are pretty awesome. And everyone has their favorites. And today I have with me a guest, author Angela Teal. She is a huge Harry Potter fan, and she has four reasons why she thinks Prisoner of Azkaban is the best Harry Potter movie and book. So we're going to go over those four reasons, but first go into the description and click on the links there for a free fantasy ebook. Also, click on stuff for Angela's going to have her website and everything else in there, all right? So, check it out. Welcome back to Great Stories Change the World. And this is author M.B. Mooney, fantasy science fiction author, talking to you guys about what makes a great story and what doesn't make a great story and why it matters. Why does it matter? And we think it does. And I have with me today a very special guest, a good friend, Angela. Say hi, Angela.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here, Mr. Mooney.
Thank you. And just tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, yes, my name is Angela, and I write under the name J. Reese Bradley because I like people to uh, wonder and ask me questions all the time about that. But I write a middle grade fantasy series called Brumble Tide that has, at this point, it has 7 books in the series. And when all is said and done, it will have 14. And then I also have a memoir that I wrote about how God brought me out of a very rebellious life. It's very interesting to read about. But yeah, I write and I have a husband and 2 kids, a girl and a boy. And life is everything I could imagine.
So, in your middle grade series, how many of them are published now?
7.
You have seven out, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I was just making sure. And yeah, so Angela and I met. It's kind of weird. We kind of met a little bit through Liberty Books, right?
Yes, you were going to do your book event at Liberty
Right,
Books. And of
right.
course, I keep track of all the authors that are doing book events there because I'm a creep and I just do that. And so I saw you, and then I saw your page and just all your podcasts. And then I just decided we needed to be best friends and talk about writer things.
And I think there was something in there. I think how you approached me at first was how many people we knew in common.
Yes.
You're like, how do you know all these people? And so
Yes.
we just, or a couple of them at least. And so, yeah. And so we started talking a little bit online on Facebook, and then we met in person at the bookstore, and we've kind of been around. Liberty Books is a local bookstore. It's a used-ish. There's mostly used books in it. Bookstore on the square in Lawrenceville, which is 5-10 minutes down the road from me. And so you've done several events there, and I've done several events there, and we both know Linda, the manager, and I think we're kind of her favorite people. I'm just going to put that out there. I think we're two of her favorite authors. That's what I think. I don't know if you
I don't
get
want to
that.
say that.
I
I don't want to
you,
say because
you definitely are.
no, you are. Well, we're her favorites. Let's
I'm not
just say
saying she doesn't like the
say
other ones.
somebody else.
I'm just
Right.
saying I think she likes us.
She
Uh,
definitely likes us. I know we're 2 of her favorites.
Two of her favorites. Oh, that see,
I
you're
was
very
That's good.
kind.
That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, my way to say it was a lot more selfish, self-absorbed. Your way was much more nice. All right, so I haven't done this in a while, but as we were talking, I was on your YouTube channel,
Yes.
and we had a great conversation there about writing and story. And I wanted her to be on my YouTube channel, and so like I do with my guests, I say pick a movie that you love that's in kind of the fantasy science fiction genre arena, and let's come up with some things to talk about writing wise with that movie as lessons for people who want to learn more about writing. And what movie did you pick?
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Right. Now, I could be wrong, but I get the sense you are a huge Harry Potter fan.
Huge,
Now,
huge. Total Potterhead.
have you read a lot? You've read all the books, I'm sure, but like have you read any of them twice or you just kind of
Oh
read
yeah.
through them? Yeah.
Yes. I've read several times at this
Okay.
point.
Nah,
Yes.
yeah.
Seen
Yeah.
all the movies. Sorted. I'm a Gryffindor. Okay. So Angela Teal is a Ravenclaw. J. Reese Bradley is a Gryffindor with a lion patroness. Um, okay, I can't remember who. So you can go to wizardingworld.com
Okay.
and be sorted into your house, get your patroness, um, have your wand, all that stuff. And so I did it for both me and my writer persona. And so I have two of everything.
Okay, so
And that's how
how did you answer the questions? This is fascinating. How did you answer the questions differently as your
right.
writer persona? Like
I tried not to. Yeah.
how does that work? Like what's different about your writer persona than you?
Nothing. That was what was so weird about it because I wanted to be a Gryffindor both times. I used to always be a Gryffindor. And then because every couple of years I would take the test again.
Okay.
You know? And so I did it with Angela Teal. And then I took it again. No, yeah. So J. Reese Bradley was Gryffindor. And then I took it Angela Teal and she was a Ravenclaw. And I was kind of distraught a second, but I was like, you know what? I guess just being in the book world all these years now, it's turned me into a Ravenclaw.
Got it.
So I tried my best to answer them honestly each time. Have you taken it?
Oh no, no. No, but
Oh,
it kind of reminds me of an episode of The Big Bang Theory or a little part in The Big Bang Theory. There's one part where they were talking about there was a quiz online about which Star Trek captain you were.
yes.
And one of the characters said, "I had to take it 5 times before I got Captain Kirk." One of those sort of, one of those sort of like,
Yes.
where you take these quizzes. And I used to kind of do that because I was a psychology major first before I was an education major,
Okay.
and so I started to. Part of the problem is I kind of vacillate in the middle of some different personality traits. I'm not like all, nobody is, but I'm not extreme in one thing or another in a couple of the personality traits. And so it's really easy for me to manipulate a personality test because it just depends on what mood I'm in. Or
Right.
I want to sound more creative. Like I'm one of those weird people who's very creative, but also very analytical
Yes.
and disciplined and stuff like that. So for me, I can do the creative sort of extrovert, or I can be the analytical introvert. Like I can be a little bit of everything. And
Yes.
that just sounds like what you're talking about when you're trying to become Gryffindor.
Yes. Well, yeah. And but some of it is by chance. And so like you end up with like a salmon patroness and you're like, I can't be a salmon.
Yeah, you got to take that again. You can't be a
Got to
fish.
take it again.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Which
you
I
got
was
to
never a
take that.
salmon. But the the actress that plays Luna Lovegood, she got salmon.
Oh, okay.
I would take it again,
Yeah.
Luna. So
Okay, did you see the cooking show, the baking show that was on HBO Max where it was all Harry Potter themed? Did you see, have you watched that?
I didn't.
Okay. It was pretty
Yeah.
good. It was pretty
It
good.
was good. Okay.
Yeah, not quite as good as British baking. So we're hooked on British baking, uh,
Okay.
whatever that show. We're hooked on that in this house, and I watch it with my kids and my wife just because it is interesting. It is really well done. But anyway, the Harry Potter was trying to kind of take that idea. The
Sure.
HBO show was trying to take that idea. All right,
What
so
did your family think of when you watched it with them? Which I'm
which one?
sure they saw before, Prisoner of Azkaban. But what did?
Oh, well, okay. So I only watched it this past time. I only watched it with my daughter,
Okay.
and of course, I had to explain. like there were a couple times I was like, "Oh, that's good," or whatever. And of course, my kids are brainwashed, and I've talked about this several times. Excuse me, but my kids are brainwashed as a story. Some people who know what a good story is.
Okay.
So my kids will be watching something and go, "Oh my gosh, that just came out of nowhere." I mean, like even my kids will start to recognize my daughter. And so it was my youngest daughter, Hosanna, and I watched it with her. And so I kind of had explained some of what I was. So we just kind of analyzed it together. She's the person who told me the story today after school that her language arts teacher was talking about the hero's journey in
Yeah.
class and was using the Lord of the Rings to kind of
Okay.
show the hero's journey. And basically, very few people knew much about Lord of the Rings except for my daughter, who's like helping everybody. She's basically tutoring the whole class in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and impressing the pants off the teacher, I'm sure.
Good
Um,
job.
but
Good job,
so yeah, so
Hosanna.
my kids were, I say brainwashed, but they were definitely taught. So
Yeah.
that's basically what happened. But it's one of my favorite. It's definitely it. If you ask me to pin down my favorite Harry Potter, it's probably Prisoner of Azkaban. Like
Okay.
the next one's is close. It's
That's most people's favorite is four.
yeah, it's close, but for some of the reasons that we're going to talk about today, as a writer, we'll talk about why. But so you came up with four different reasons why Prisoner of Azkaban is the best Harry Potter movie. What's number one? Start with number one.
Okay. When you asked me to do these, okay, I don't know if I did the assignment right, but we have four things to talk about that I think are very special about Prisoner of Azkaban. And the
Got it.
first one is Buckbeak, the hippogriff.
Right.
Yes. So anyone who hasn't seen the movie in a long time or hasn't read the book in a long time, Hagrid in book three, movie three, has become the care of magical creatures teacher, professor. And so his first lesson is teaching everyone how to care and tend to a hippogriff, and its name is Buckbeak. Okay, but the hippogriff can be deadly. You have to respect it and be very careful when approaching it. And so he tells Harry, he chooses Harry to be the volunteer, and Harry
Because
does
he's
not
the
want
main character. Why not? Right? He's got to choose him.
course, yes. How lucky. And so Harry comes up and he tells Harry, you have to bow to Buckbeak. And then if he trusts you, he will bow back and you can get on him and fly. But if he doesn't, this might be your last day on Earth.
Right. Yeah. 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 No, no
Um,
pressure.
Yes. And so when it comes to writing, this was my thing because there are seven books in the Harry Potter series, and to me, they're all fantastic.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Um, but I have watched so many interviews with J.K. Rowling, and she has such a an amazing way of thinking of things. Okay. And she has not said this about the hippogriff, but I was kind of channeling her. Okay. And so the hippogriff is obviously something of the imagination.
Right.
Okay. So if the hippogriff is a symbol of the imagination, don't we need to respect it as as writers or anybody? We have an imagination that can take you um, to the heights and become the greatest stories in the world, great stories that change the world, or imagination can take us in very terrible places at the same time.
Sure.
um,
Right.
and that's where you can get cults, or you can get the worst preachy terrible stories with agendas. And so I thought the hippogriff was a symbol of the imagination that we need to respect it as authors and
Right.
have a healthy fear of it. What do you think?
I love that. It's not just a healthy fear, but it's also a respect for your imagination. But also, so here's the thing about imagination. Anxiety is what happens when your imagination goes wild. This could happen, maybe this is happening, right? And and a lot of times people, what I like about what you're pointing out is if the hippogriff is a symbol, let's say for your imagination, then it's separate from you. Like just because you have an idea doesn't, you don't have to identify yourself with that idea, right? You can separate yourself from an idea, even your own ideas, and respect it. And even, but then when you treat it rightly, or your imagination, then it's really fun. Like he gets to ride and fly and do the whole thing, right? And so those are some of my thoughts. Where as a symbol, yes, your imagination can be a wonderful thing, but you have to treat it rightly. You have, and as separate from yourself. It's not, don't think it's just, you're not in, you're in control of it to a certain degree. It's not in control of you, sort of thing.
That's so good. And when you said anxiety, the Dementors,
Oh yeah, the Dementors, right?
the
Yeah, yeah,
Dementors are the guards at Azkaban prison.
yeah.
And what else does anxiety do but keep you in bondage?
Keep
And
you in
it's
bondage
like
and
being in
fear.
a
Yeah,
prison in your mind.
right. Well,
So
sure.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing I like about the way she does things, and we'll get into this a little bit with number two, but just as a lesson to writers, the hippogriff is super cool.
Yeah.
All right. And I had somebody in a writing class, a teenager, ask me, they said, because I was talking about world building, and they said, look, does your world building need to be just really cool, or does it need to like mean something? And I said, it's both. So in other words, she throws in and this is what she does really well across a lot of her stories, is she comes up with this cool, either she comes up with it or uses a dragon or whatever, this cool creature, but then it becomes like there's a story reason for this thing to be there. Like it's not just that there's this cool creature. Now we're dealing with Hagrid's character and his personality and his hopes and dreams, and we're dealing with excuse me, we're dealing with Harry's fears and his character and his bravery and his ability to make friends. And but then you also see Malfoy's character, because Malfoy doesn't make friends. He's got to be in control, but then that's when it backfires on him, and then it becomes this part of this bigger part of the story about Hagrid and being in trouble. So my point is just to let everybody know, like that's one of the cool things about fantasy is we love these interesting character, creatures and scary things or whatever. But if it's not a part of the story, and it's not, if it's not revealing characters, then it doesn't really mean anything. It's just something that's
Right.
cool. It's just window dressing.
Sure.
Um, so I like that. All right, number two. What's your number two?
Number two. Okay. Which we started with one and then decided it was another. She blends all that so well. Okay.
Right,
So in Prisoner of Azkaban, we have Aunt Marge gets blown up, the night bus, uh, the Grim, the um, Marauder's map, Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, Prongs, um, the Time Turner, Buckbeak possibly getting beheaded for those people who haven't seen it. All this wacky, wonderful stuff. But
well, and
she,
there's Sirius Black.
Sirius Black,
And then there's the professor who's a werewolf.
Mooney,
And then
Professor
there's
Lupin,
like she introduces the Patronus. She
Patronus.
introduces isn't this the first time we've seen the Dementors?
Is this the first time we see? This is the first time we see the
So she
Dementors.
also introduces the Dementors. Like
Yes,
I think this is a really important one
totally.
because any good editor would see this and say this is too much. This is too much to put in one
Yes.
book. Save some of this for the next book. But she is able to bring all of this new stuff in and then add time travel to it,
Yeah.
which is incredibly difficult to do. And she handles it like a master. You don't feel like it's too much. Everything happens as it should. I mean, like it's not predictable, but when it happens, you're like, "Oh, that makes sense. Like that's how that should happen." And just so much stuff that she's introducing that, yeah, she just does a great job.
Amazing
Yeah.
job. Divination, the prophecy. I
Right.
mean, all of it. Yeah. And it's just all of this wacky, wonderful stuff that she brings together. The pictures talking. I mean, man, how in the world? It's just incredible. It really is just one of the best stories in the world.
It really is. And this is why so this is it's my favorite. I usually choose this one because it's the first one that gets a little dark. It gets a
Yeah.
little dark, and it gets a little. I'm a sucker for werewolves,
Yes.
and but I also like, and we'll get to this and later, but I like some of the twists. I really think that this movie, and we said this before we started recording, and it just reinforced it as I rewatched it the other day. This is where she hit her stride. Like her other books were great,
Yeah.
but this one was genius level masterful to me. And a lot of these reasons are why she just makes it work.
Mhm.
And it's something that as writers it's really hard to do, but you got to pay attention. Like I said with that whole scene with Buckbeak, there's literally she's showing she shows Hagrid's character, she shows Harry's character, she shows Malfoy's character, she shows Ron's character, and that he's a little scared, but it pushes Harry. Like there's all these little things where she's just infusing people's character into the whole scene. It's
Yeah.
so hard to do, but she
Yes.
does it so well.
So well. Do you think it would be published today?
Why do you say that? What's your reason for saying that?
Well, it just seems like it's all over the place. Like you said, any editor is going to be like, this is way too much going on.
Well, okay, here's why I say yes. Okay? Because publishers are especially even in her day, but even more today,
Mhm.
publishers are all about making money.
Oh, yeah.
So the first book was a success. The
Yeah.
second book was a success. I think she could have put anything she wanted to on paper and published that thing. I think she
Yeah.
could have done anything she wanted at that point. It's kind of like what happened with the Hunger Games, and I always complain about the Hunger Games. The first
Yeah.
book was genius,
Yeah.
but then the second book was and then the third book was trash. But it was like they rushed her to get this stuff out.
Yeah.
This is my take on it, and she just didn't have time to develop a good trilogy, and she just
Yeah.
had to keep pumping them out because they wanted to make money, and there was probably a book deal, and there was probably deadlines in the contract. I'm just saying, like, I know all that stuff, and it's just probably what it was. Whereas J.K. Rowling, because she had so much of the characters and story already done before she published book one, I think she was able to just play around and dance around as a writer and just make it happen, you know. So cool.
Okay. I agree.
That's what I
Yeah.
think.
So good. Well, I'm
But
glad she did. It gives the rest of us just so much permission to just let loose.
yeah.
but connected, of course.
Right.
You have to make it work.
But see, here's the thing, Prisoner of Azkaban wouldn't have worked as a first book. There's too much in it as a for a first book.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
because by the
Yes, you're
time you get to
right.
the third book,
Right.
we've got there's a lot of it, even though she introduces a lot of new stuff, there's a lot of it that's established.
Mhm.
Hogwarts, Harry's house with the aunt and uncle, his relationship with them, his relationship with Ron and Hermione and Hag, like his relationship with Dumbledore. Like there's a lot of stuff that's already established by then that they don't have to establish, that then so they can bring some, but still it's still really hard what she did. Like I don't want to downplay how difficult it was, but that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't have worked as a first movie because we wouldn't have had all that prior knowledge of things that you can just that she could just kind of launch off of.
Totally.
um so all right, that's number two. That was a good one. Number three, what's your number three?
Number three. Okay. So this is for writers. And I thought it would be helpful to point out what we love about the story and well, which we have been doing, but the element, the ingredients that makes us love this story, and everyone line up to see these movies and buy these books right when they open. Okay. And it has been said that it's the friendships in the story, which I would agree somewhat. But I think the fact that Harry Potter is called, fought for, brought in, trained, and trained up for his purpose is a huge part of why we love this story. Okay.
All right, so
And he's
talk,
13.
yeah, so talk about those things and why especially younger readers would be drawn to those elements.
Okay. I believe that it's in all of us. Okay. But younger readers, you talk about this a lot, about how there is the heart in the story that calls to us. Okay. Um, and as a young reader myself, it called to me. And 13 is that age where you're still wanting to play in the snow, okay, but you're wanting to do grown up things too, okay. So it's that midway point where you're still a kid, but you're trying to be an adult
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. And I think it's a very magical time. And so Harry in book three, um, he's having all the feelings that 13-year-olds have and acting all the ways that 13-year-olds do. But still, he has been called to his purpose that he doesn't even know what it is yet. Okay. Um, fully. He doesn't. He's just going with the flow at this point. He is being he's been brought in by the night bus. Nothing can keep him away from his true purpose in life. Okay. And that happens in each of the books, but that happens for us. Okay. And for those of
Mm.
us who are Christians, we are called, and nothing is keeping us from getting our Hogwarts letter. Okay. Nothing is keeping us away from Hogwarts. We are going to go. And so the night bus finds him in the middle of the night and brings him to the leaky cauldron where he needs to go. He is brought in, he is protected. Okay. And all of us, no matter how much we want to believe otherwise, we want to be protected. And I think that is whether you're a girl or a boy, Professor Lupin, Mr. Weasley, Sirius Black, all of these people who are put in Harry's life to protect him, that calls to us. We want somebody to, when we're falling, come out of nowhere and save us. And he is trained up. So each year at Hogwarts, he's being trained for that purpose that he doesn't even really know what it's going to be. And we don't know what it's going to be until we get to the later books. We think he's just becoming a wizard. Okay. But he is being trained up in the best way to train somebody, and that is through suffering. And so that's a huge lesson for young people. That is a hard lesson that we never want to go through, but it calls to us. Okay. In a story, it calls to us. Um, and yes, the professors, all of it, his friends, Dumbledore, it's all training him through that suffering that's going to lead to eventually defeating the darkness.
Well, and what you're talking about with suffering, specifically for Harry Potter, is his life is put in danger in every book in some way.
Yeah.
And so he has to face risk, which necessitates him
Yeah.
learning something new. And that's a part of the lesson that you're talking about is risk, danger, suffering. In many ways, it forces us to either it forces us to either learn something new and overcome it
Yeah.
or just quit.
Yeah.
And Harry Potter is not the kind that quits.
No.
And so we that's one of the things we love about him is, you know, he doesn't quit. But all that stuff that you're saying, yes, I do believe it's common. We all want to feel chosen. We all want to feel called. We all want to feel like there's
Yeah.
something for us, that we're protected, and that we belong somewhere. There's that sort
Yeah.
of element too, where he doesn't feel like he belongs. That's a very kid thing, by the way. And I just noticed it again when I watched it the other night. He doesn't when you turn like 13, 14, you look at your parents and you think, how could I come from these people? Right? Because you feel so
Yes.
different. You feel so
Right.
different. And so that's why a lot of these stories, Star Wars and like or a lot of these stories are they're an orphan of some sort. And yet
Yeah.
they find their belonging somewhere else. And that's what happens to you when you're a teenager. You start to find your belonging with your friend group or with something else, a different whatever it might be. And that's not always healthy, but it can be healthy. That if it's a good thing, if it's the right thing that you're finding you know not identity in some ways, but you're finding belonging in something outside of your family. And so there's all of those elements, and then being trained, knowing that you there's still stuff to learn, and then being treated like Harry is with dignity and um and belief. They believe in him. They believe he can learn this stuff, and we all want those people in our life who because we know we need to learn stuff, right? We all know we still got more to learn, but we want those people in our life that goes, look, I believe you can do this.
Mhm.
Yes, you need to learn it, but I also believe you can do it. And
Yeah.
all of these things are powerful for anybody, but especially for someone at 13, 14 years old,
Yeah.
to have those sort of role models in the books that he has. So,
Agreed.
all
So
right,
good.
number four, and,
Okay.
and
The
this was
twist.
yeah. So let's look at the twists. Now, I remember you told me one time about I'm setting you up to tell me how great I am. All right. But
Okay.
you know where you told me that's one of the things you liked about Shield of the King, my book, was that there was a twist in them. So,
Yeah.
and then I noticed them in this movie. So what are some of the twists and why are they so well done?
Okay. Well, the big twist, spoiler alert, is that the portrayed villain that is thought to be killing Harry the whole time, he is running from Sirius Black, who has escaped from Azkaban. And everyone is warning him that he is going to kill Harry. But it turns out that he is not only Harry's godfather, but that he is he is not trying to kill Harry. He is more protecting Harry, and the actual villain is Peter Pettigrew, who was one of the Marauders. Okay, and the Marauders are Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs. And this is my favorite thing about the whole story. Okay, Sirius Black, James Potter, Harry's dad, Professor Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew were best friends at Hogwarts in their day. Peter Pettigrew betrays them and becomes a Death Eater. Those are the followers of Voldemort, okay? And betrays Harry's parents to Voldemort, and that's how they end up dying. So Sirius Black was framed, thrown into Azkaban, and for 12 years has been waiting to get his revenge on Peter. Okay. And so the whole time they're thinking they're running from the good guy. Okay. And then it comes out that Peter Pettigrew has been Ron, Harry's best friend, rat scabbers the whole time because they're what the Marauders, the best friends, are what they're called animaguses. Okay. And this is one thing that the book went into that I
Right.
understand why they couldn't go into it in the movie. They
Yeah.
didn't have enough time, but it's my favorite thing about the story. Is their background and how they were friends and how um, Sirius Black, James Potter, and Peter Pettigrew became animaguses so that they could help Professor Lupin, who is a werewolf, Moony. Okay. They could help him control himself, protect themselves from him. Who doesn't want best friends like that? It's just so good. And they have the Marauders map that Harry gets that you have to say, I solemnly swear I'm up to no good. And it appears and shows everyone in the castle. And that is how it's found out that Peter Pettigrew is still alive and he's the bad guy. Okay. And so Sirius Black comes and they are going to kill him, but Harry tells them not to. And you want to smack him.
Yeah. So twists are really important to me because they're hard to do. Number one. And number two, when you do a twist well, it really highlights the story. It really does something to the reader because now they look at everything before what happened. Like, so here's what a great twist does. When it happens, you start to look at everything that happened before that in a different way.
Yes.
And that's just this huge thing for your brain. Like it just activates your imagination in just a completely new way. And you basically double the story, if that makes sense. So now your brain has now had two stories in just a couple pages or a few minutes, right? And so up to this point in in the first two movies, books, the bad guy was the bad guy, or it was the Defense of the Dark Arts teacher, or whatever. There was a little bit of a pattern in the first one, so she really had to switch it up a little bit in this one, or else it would have become predictable, right? Oh, the bad guy's the bad guy. Like that's not very exciting. I mean, like, whatever. And so and the way she sets, especially the Peter Pettigrew stuff up, because this time I was kind of watching it, paying attention. So there's all these, not all, but there's a couple conversations, maybe there's more in the book, but there's a couple conversations between Ron and Hermione about the rat and the cat, that the cat is after the rat. And he's accusing her, and oh, your cat is horrible, and then he loses. Then the rat is lost, and he accuses Hermione's cat of eating the rat or whatever. But then that's all around the same time. You think you don't think they're connected because then Harry's in the whatever in the castle at night, in the school at night, and it says it's and when he's using the map and it says it's Peter Pettigrew, yet he can't see. Like he turns the light over there and he can't see because it's dark, whatever. But all of this stuff is just little stuff. But now that you see, oh, Peter Pettigrew, like the rat, is actually Scabbers is really Peter Pettigrew. Now all of this stuff starts to connect, and it wasn't bad or boring before, but now you just added a whole other layer to it. And the whole thing of Sirius Black, he becomes such a major character in for Harry Potter because he becomes a sort of almost a father figure in a way that no one else at the school really is. I mean, Hagrid's more of a friend. You've got Dumbledore, who's a little bit more of a mentor, whereas he really starts to see Sirius Black as more of like a father figure, and that becomes really important for the story moving forward and Harry's character and all the stuff that happens. We won't get all the spoilers, but no, I agree. I think the twists were really well done and just made it work really well.
Oh yeah. And you don't think about it at all because the rat scene, even if she would have had the defense against the dark arts teacher evil again, we still would have loved it because we trust her at this point. There's been two books where he's evil and we absolutely loved it. So we're just going to hope we're going to trust her that the next one's going to be great. So we're looking at Lupin, who everybody's kind of suspecting something's going to twist with him because the dark arts teacher has been evil before. We're not paying attention to that they have told us throughout the story that Scabbers is 13 years old. He's he's missing a toe. I mean, these are things that they've given us in the story, and then
Right,
when you get the twist, you're like, of course.
right, exactly.
Oh my gosh, and that's why it said Peter Pettigrew, because at that time you see Peter Pettigrew, you're thinking he's still a good guy.
Right,
Yes, you don't
right.
fathom that
Well, because
he's the one.
part of the twist is they thought Sirius Black killed him
Yeah.
as part of the betrayal, but really Peter Pettigrew was the one who betrayed, and he's really alive, and so all of this stuff sort of comes up. But if you don't set this stuff up well, then it
Yes.
just feels you feel cheated as a reader or a watcher or a viewer. You feel cheated. You're like, well, that came from nowhere. What does that even mean? But she
Always
just
figure it out.
right. I mean, but
Yeah.
she just she sets it up really well, but doesn't give it away. See, that's the hard thing about a twist. You have to set it up without telegraphing it, and so she did a good job. So I think it's really well done.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Any other thoughts about Prisoner of Azkaban before we kind of
I don't think so. I the one thing in the movie that I thought was just a great addition that wasn't in the book obviously was something that wicked this way comes when the choir
oh,
sings
right,
it.
right, right. Yeah, you talked
I love
about that.
it. The movies are so good.
The movies really are very well done,
They really
and I think I saw every one of them in the theater. I'm pretty
I
sure I
might have
saw every
two.
one of them in the
No,
theater.
no, I didn't.
And my kids weren't old enough yet. They were later on, the last two, maybe. Micah was, maybe. No, I don't think I took him then either. But I have like family friends and nieces and nephews that I would take them because I enjoyed the movies. I was like, these are kind of cool movies. So I
Yeah.
again, I don't want to put down any of the other books or movies. I really do think they're all like you said. All the movies are fantastic. The storyline really flows and connects really well at the end.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, this is where, because of all the things that we've said, it's so complex and yet done so well. I think this is where she really found her stride as far as like that whole other level as a writer. and
I agree.
and and
The-
I've noticed it with other writers too, like Stephen King and like other writers that I read a lot. It's like they get to a certain point and you're like, okay, they're just on another level now. They're just now they're just you can't
How'd they
stop
do
these
that?
guys.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And when you're a writer, you're like, why do I even write? What am I doing? But yes, I agree. And the story is so good the whole time. But I love three, and then I do love four as well. But because I love Hogwarts so much,
Hmm.
So when it starts getting really dark and they're kind of like in the seventh book, they're not in Hogwarts a lot at all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it just is falling apart. I still love the storyline, but I love to be in Hogwarts.
Yeah. For sure. All right. So Angela, where can people find you and your books?
Okay. You can find my books on Amazon, so easy. And then just if you Google J. Reese Bradley, there I am. So you can find my Instagram, Facebook, and I still call it Twitter, but
I
it's
know I
X.
do too. I do too.
I call them
And
tweet.
right, I do too. So yeah, now they try to call them a post on X, and I'm like, what are you talking about? That's a tweet.
It's a
Anyway,
tweet. Yeah.
so and what was I going to say about so your books and oh, what I was going to say is I'm going to put at least a link to one of your books in the description below the video here, so people can go there. Do you have a website?
Yep. jreesebradley.com.
Okay, I'll put the website in there so people can find. Just go to the description of the whatever in the YouTube video,
All
and
right.
find people find you there. This was awesome, as we knew it would be,
It was so awesome.
and we will see each other soon. I know Linda was talking with us the other day about doing some sort of joint thing again.
Costume party. I'm so excited. I don't even know what we're dressing up for, but I'm super excited.
Oh, is that what she wanted it to be? A costume party?
Yes.
Oh,
I thought
I don't
maybe I
know.
was just hopeful being
Do you, do you
Yeah,
like
she says this for
costumes?
Christmas. Yeah, I love to. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. When I turned 40, I had everyone dressed as royals.
got it. Got
Yeah.
it. Cool.
So
Well, we will see you again, and everybody just check out Angela's stuff there in the description, and we will talk to everybody soon. Peace out.
thank you, Britt.